Hi, this is Joyce, and it's a pleasure to be back again this week. I'm now 1 month after my second vaccination, and I gotta tell you, it was a thrill to be back with people again. I actually had a social gathering right here in my apartment for two couples who had also been vaccinated. What a feeling of liberation to know that I'm not going to get COVID and I'm not going to pass it on to anyone else. I know a family where everyone's gotten COVID because the father really made poor judgments, and that's a pity. Well, as I speak and when this comes out, it'll be right before St. Patty's Day, and Biden has indeed signed off on the $1.9 trillion relief and stimulus bill. Can't come too soon because a lot of the benefits sunset this weekend. I understand many of the stimulus checks will be deposited in people's accounts this weekend. Now we got to make sure that those who are deserving of unemployment insurance really get that unemployment insurance. Romney was right. The states that have a surplus, they got a surplus all right, but that's on the backs of the people. Unemployment insurance in Florida is almost non-existent. The state pays maybe 68,000 people for benefits, and they're at the lowest level possible, about $250. What is that for a family? Nothing. So that's how they've got surpluses. They've got surpluses by not dispensing a social safety net to people who need it. That's not the role of government. The role of government is to prop up we the people. We pay taxes into the system and the expectation that our taxes will pay for our benefits. We've worked hard for it, and whether or not we've worked or have been disabled and can't work, we still deserve, on a humane level, to take care of everybody who resides in our country. That's humane, and it costs us less in the long run. Right now, the Republican Party is deciding to pass probably about 253 bills across 43 states that will increase voter suppression. There's only one way to get around it. If I thought withholding money to the states would be a good thing in order to make them rescind those proposals and bills and allow people to vote, I'd do it if it didn't hurt people, but it will hurt people. So the only thing to do is to pass the two bills in Congress, H.R. 1 and the John Lewis Voting Rights Bill, H.R. 4. And if it can't be done with a majority or a supermajority, then in the Senate, you've got to get rid of that filibuster, because voting is everyone's right. Voting should be an opt-out program. In other words, you're automatically able to vote. No excuse needed for an absentee ballots. We now know paper balloting works. Why put ourselves at risk? Why do something at the last minute? Why stand online for 5 hours when you can submit a no-excuse paper ballot? Gerrymandering, whether it's in a blue state or a red state, really doesn't matter. Everyone's got to vote. This year, more people voted than ever before. And we need that overwhelming vote. We need people to be informed citizens so they can vote for people who support them. Not the oligarchy, them. We need clean air, clean water, infrastructure, transportation, connectivity, IT, critical IT, you name it. We don't want cosmetic infrastructure at this point in time because we want to put a lot of people back to work. At least 10 million are out of work. And I'm sure many are able-bodied and would love to work and work at a decent living wage. Which brings us to the other bill that has to be passed, a decent minimum wage. In New York City, we're already, I think, going to $12.50 or at $12.50 right now. Across the South and even in California, you could still be making $2.19 an hour if you're what they call a tipped worker. And many are not making the minimum wage of $7.52. And certainly in California, since they voted down the Uber and Lyft drivers' proposal, those guys are now making about $5.42 an hour. This is not correct for a country that needs to move forward and move forward quickly. We've had pollution for too long. We've been suffering from weather extremes. Our infrastructure has been devastated. We've lost 500,000 people to COVID. We've lost people to diseases of despair and to weather catastrophes. It's time to rebuild, and that's going to cost money. Don't worry about inflation, because the productivity that is pushed back into the society will overcome inflation and will overcome debt. No need to worry about either one. The stock market may worry about debt if debt-laden corporations can't produce enough. That's their problem. That's what happens in a marketplace. But for us, the future should be very bright. And I am for racial justice, racial equality, and equality that's humane for all people. Right here in New York State, people would say, oh, this is a liberal state, right? We do so much for so many people. Wrong. We don't. At least 2 years ago, I tried to get the vote for those people who had served their prison terms, been incarcerated, and were now out back in society. I tried to get them to have a vote. It wasn't well received. Now I'm working with a political action group for Reformed Jewish members, and we're working to make sure that 7,500 parolees are treated with dignity and respect and can't be sent back to jail on a whim of a parole officer for minor infractions or for drug or alcohol addiction. That's not a reason to go back to jail. That's a reason to get counseling. And the cost of putting people back into jail after they've served their time, deemed eligible for parole, is enormous. It costs maybe $7,000 a year to supervise parolees. Of a population of 44,000 to 52,000, 7,500 people go back to jail for minor infractions. Every time one person goes back to jail, it could cost $70,000 a year. That's a lot of money. A lot of money for a minor offense for somebody who was deemed capable of being reintegrated into society. Treat people decently, and they will work hard to be good citizens. So I'm supporting another bill. It's a smaller bill. It's got at least 24 out of 63 counties that are for the bill, and perhaps we can get it higher because it's the right thing to do, and it makes racial justice sense, and it makes economic sense. Teach people how to fish, right? And then they can feed themselves. We are our brother's keeper, but we have to provide a decent society where people can take advantage of the benefits that are being given to them and not be fearful, because this is a harsh society that takes away rather than gives. We don't have to do that, folks. It's so much easier to be decent and have people work and be happy. So I think our future can be bright if everyone pitches in and we go full steam ahead on infrastructure, full steam ahead on election reform, full steam ahead on supporting our people who have committed minor crimes or other crimes and are eligible for parole and they're part of society. Let's treat them as human beings. Give them a chance. In industry, you'd be mandated years ago to have done so. In the 70s, you couldn't fire anyone if they had an alcohol problem or an addiction problem of some sort. We had to have counseling for them, and if counseling didn't work, we sent them to rehab. And that's what it was like, and that's what it should be. That's humane. And to me, humane is cost effective. Being humane means that we have more people happy, working, and part of society. That's what I want. I hope you want it too. Spread the message. We need New Yorkers involved in this bill, and involved really big time. I'm proud that my state senator, Brad Hoylman, is for this bill. I thought it was minor, but you know what? If you don't take the first step towards progress and towards being racially just, we never get there. So we've got to take all the steps we can take to make sure that our society works for everyone. Thank you for listening, and have a great day. Bye now. See you next week. You can bet on it.